Hey, what's going on guys? This is White Chaos, and welcome back to another Destiny video. In today's Destiny video, I'm going to be going over everything from the new Destiny Weapon Tuning 2.0 forum that was uploaded yesterday by the Destiny dev team. In this forum, they go over everything that needs to be nerfed or either buffed. Now, this includes auto rifles, pulse rifles, hand cannons, also exotic weapons such as the Last Word, the Gjallarhorn, the Thorn, heavy weapons in total, special weapons, and primary weapons also. So this is just a huge Tuning 2.0 update that is going to be coming out probably near September when the Taken King comes out. There's not an actual date from when this is going to be coming out, but I assume it's going to be a few weeks before the Taken King actually drops in September. So I will have this forum in the description below if you guys want to click on that and read it yourselves. Or you guys can just watch the entire video. I'm going to be reading this from start to finish. Personally, I'd rather have somebody read it to me, so that's what I'm doing for you guys today, instead of you having to go read it yourselves. So I am going to be reading everything from start to finish, including a bunch of screenshots and going over everything at the end of the video of what I think about these new changes that are going to be coming in the 2.0 update. So without further ado, why don't we start reading this thing from start to finish. Before we start reading it, I just want to tell you guys I'm sick a little bit, and I might mispronounce a few words or maybe even sentences, so I apologize that to begin with. And also, let's see if we can hit 10 likes on this video. That would be amazing. Let's get right into the reading of the forum. Hello everyone. This update has been a long time coming, but I'm very happy to be here again to talk about some pending weapon changes. This time around we're hitting a lot of stuff, so I hope you're wearing your reading pants. First and foremost, I want to personally acknowledge the community for their resounding feedback on a variety of items that we plan on addressing here. At times we look into rolling out one or two of these changes in advance to the 2.0 update, addressing shotgun perks when Felwich Live became popular, addressing Thorn when it became the popular choice in Trials of Osiris. We heard your voices and felt your pain, but plucking a few meatballs out of this massive plate of spaghetti proved to be very risky. These changes are all dependent upon each other to be successful, and after careful consideration, we decided the best road ahead was to present them all together as a full update. Thank you for your continued patience. I mean that very sincerely. Base weapon changes. First off, we're going to be going over the auto rifles. As a whole, the auto rifles needed to be reevaluated from the 1.1.1 update. The goals are still the same for this weapon, but this time the approach centers on a higher base damage with quicker fall off. With 2.0, our sandbox programmers have granted the ability to independently tune range and damage fall off. This allows us to emphasize optimal combat ranges without violating some of the more intricate aiming systems that are tied into the range stat. When the update goes live, damage falloff will be more obvious as shown in the following screens. I will have screenshots on the screen right now. Goals. Auto rifle is optimal at close range to medium range. Damage, stability, and range are tuned such that players desire stability for reliable close quarters damage or range for better accuracy and increased damage at a distance. Elevate auto rifles so they are more competitive option in PvP and simultaneously more satisfying to use in PvE. Changes. Increases base damage. Start damage fall off closer to the player to emphasize its role as a close to medium range weapon. Smaller reduction to base stability. Landing shots at optimal range is unaffected, but repeated precision hits require more weapon control to land consistently. And also boost damage by 10% against AI combatants. Second off is the pulse rifles. Pulse rifles are strong right now in PvP. We want to maintain that feeling of raw power, but introduce some subtlety to the firing mechanics of the weapon. Base damage for the mid speed, most common, rate of fire is now tuned so that the victim's armor stat is the deciding factor in the time to kill. Base stability of all pulse rifles has been dropped very slightly so that landing shots is still intuitive, but consistent precision hits will take more skill. Magazine sizes have been increased across the board to make them more efficient in PvE activities. The goals. Pulse rifle is optimal at medium range, but can still effectively engage enemies at close or medium long range. Rate of fire sets a pace for players to track moving targets and then deliver precision damage in bursts. Pulse rifles should feel strong in PvP, but don't become the only competitive option. Additionally, increase their efficiency as a PvE weapon. Changes. Reduce base weapon damage of the medium ROF by about 2.5%. PvP burst to kill all precision hits is 2 or 3 depending on victim's armor stats. Small reduction is base stability. A burst should still land all shots at optimal ranges, but 3 precision hits will require more weapon control to land consistently. Increases magazine size for all the base inventory stats. Now we're going to be going over the scout rifles. Scout rifles are currently orbiting their sweet spot pretty nicely. We made a few changes to solidify their role as the optimal long-range primary choice, and to help create a delta between the hand cannon archetype. Goals. Scout rifles are the best primary weapon for long-range engagements. Scout rifles perform best when landing paced precision shots, and rate of fire and optics are tuned so that scout rifles are a little harder to use effectively close in. Changes. Increase base damage for medium to high rate of fire scout rifles. PvP does not affect time to kill in PvP on a guardian with full health. Increases the magazine size for all base inventory stats. Reduce final accuracy when firing from the hip. Fast firing outside of aiming down sights will be less accurate. And boost damage by 5% against AI combatants. Now we're going to be going over the hand cannons. During the last set of changes, we made very small adjustments to the initial accuracy, range, and damage falloff, looking to curb the long-range effectiveness of the hand cannons. However, anyone who has been cross-mapped by the Thorn or Hawkmoon knows this is still very possible. So we pushed this a little bit further. Landing a long range now requires a slow, careful aim, and a hit at a distance won't deliver on the weapon's full damage potential. In PvE, the role of the hand cannon is very close to the role of the scout rifle. Hand cannons do slightly more base damage, scouts have slightly more ammo in the mag, but otherwise their functions overlap a great deal. To help separate the two, we made the range changes noted above, but also reduced magazine size on hand cannons, while simultaneously increasing the magazine size on scouts. This should help push these two weapons apart and make the player choice more interesting. Hand cannons do more damage up close but with fewer rounds, scouts with greater range and magazine size but slightly less damage per bullet. Goals. Hand cannons are optimal at close to medium range. Hand cannons are optimal when shots are paced, but become less effective when fired quickly. Rewards agility under fire, precision targeting, and snapshots. Hand cannons cannot reliably compete with the scout rifles at long range. Changes. Start damage fall off closer to the player to limit long range lethality. Small reduction of aiming down sights accuracy, targeted at making long range snap shooting less reliable. Reduces final accuracy when firing from the hip. Fast firing from the hip is less reliable. Reduce the magazine size for all base inventory stats, and reduce optics zoom for all hand cannons. Aim down sights now grants more width in favor of depth. Sorry for reading that a little bit off. Now on to our beloved shotguns. The shotgun changes to 1.1.1 hit range pretty hard. For almost all of the shotguns available to players, this felt really good in our playtests. Occasionally, a long-range shotgun with the right perks on it would show up and push the intended limits, but they were few and far between. Until Lord Saladin started selling the Fellwinter's Lie. The availability of a powerful long-range shotgun that could be reforced until the perfect perk arrangement showed up made this a combination pretty prevalent. In House of Wolves, we continued to allow reforging on other ranged shotguns. Soon after, what we thought would be exciting edge cases in our weapon population became the new normal. Rather than hit range stat again, we are directly targeting the shotgun perks that push out shotgun lethality, distance, shot package, and rangefinder. The PvE boost to shotguns in 1.1.1 was significant, and since then we've been seeing groups of guardians gang up on their boomsticks and trivially roll through some pretty tough PvE encounters. The reward of gut blasting a hulking enemy is super sweet, but that close quarters action could benefit from a slight reduction in outgoing damage. The goals. Shotgun is most effective at very close range. Complements melee attacks and other close quarters class builds. Offensively, closing on an enemy with a shotgun is a risk/reward timing game. Curbs shotgun effectiveness in PvE slightly to reintroduce some risk when closing on a powerful enemy. Changes. Shotgun perks that enhance lethality at range should be less effective when combined with a high initial range stat. Reduces shot package accuracy buff by 30%. Rangefinder adds a 5% base range increase on the aim down sights. It was 20%. Reduce precision damage multiplier on shotguns by 10%. And reduce damage against AI combatants by 10%. Now onto the fusion rifles. When we hit the fusion rifle accuracy in the last update, we saw a lot of players move to the shotguns as their close range weapon of choice. For this update, we have preserved our original intent to reduce overall range, but have scaled back the nerf on close-range fusion rifles to help them contend with shotguns at close quarters. Goals: fusion rifles are optimal at mid-range where targets are easier to track but they are not close enough to attack while charging up. Requires combat foresight and the ability to predict a target's movement to be used successfully. It should not be easy to find and build a fusion rifle that can achieve maximum range. Changes: slow charging high impact fusion rifles have decreased range values. Makes it more difficult to max out range for these weapons. Projectile speed for fusion rifles is slightly reduced. Emphasizes the need to lead a target outside of medium range. Improved accuracy for short range fusion rifles and reduces the accuracy for long range fusion rifles. Now onto the sniper rifles. Sniper rifles are playing into their intended role right now and we don't feel a need to change the base behavior. However, one piece of feedback that the community has been very vocal about is the effect of the final round perk when combined with the high impact sniper rifle. Around the time of the 1.1.1 changes, we started phasing this perk out on the sniper rifles and combined with the special ammo economy changes introduced by the multiplayer design team, we hope to see this perk lose its potential. The introduction of Trials of Osiris put us back on the spot to address this perk. To address this, we are changing the final round to only scale precision damage for sniper rifles. This change fits the role of the sniper rifle for both PvP and PvE. Goals: sniper rifles are optimal at long range and difficult to use for medium to short range combat. Sniper rifles reward thumb skill with high damage against precision targets. The final round perk on the sniper rifle should still require precision shots. Changes: final round on the sniper rifles buffs precision damage only, not base damage. This change only affects its perks when combined with sniper rifles. Now onto the rocket launchers. There's not much to say about the rocket launchers. You'll find a purple brick, you'll load up your rocket launcher, and you'll blow shit up. We're giving rocket explosions a tiny boost to the blast radius to help out with those glorious multi-kills that rain bodies. However, the grenades and horseshoes perk has enabled an element of carelessness in PvP that we would like to address. While we definitely want that perk to grant you some slop while firing at a single target, it also needs to allow agile players the slim possibility of escape if your aim isn't true. Goals: rocket launchers deal massive AoE damage from a distance. Rockets are optimal when placed in the middle of a group. Changes: slight increase in the base blast radius, and grenades and horseshoes proximity detonation reduced. So they're actually not going to be changing any stats to the machine guns, so that's pretty cool. Now we're going to be going over the exotic weapon tuning. Unlike the last weapon balance update, we're taking this opportunity to address a few of our exotic weapons in tandem with the changes to the base weapon behavior. Fair warning, some of these changes are intended to make you feel better while killing with the weapon, and some are intended to make you feel better while being killed by the weapon. First off, we've got the Hard Light. The Hard Light is a beloved weapon. We want it to be better. The new flexibility we have with the damage fall off as an independently tuned value gave us a great new avenue to push this exotic a little bit harder into its fantasy. Changes: increased base stability to 80, it was 65. Increases bounce count for Hard Light projectiles, and Hard Light projectiles are not affected by the damage fall off. Now onto the Necrochasm. We've heard and shared the resounding feedback for Necrochasm. Not only has this weapon been considered a weak reward for the monumental effort it takes to acquire it, but the base archetype, high rate of fire auto rifle, happened to be tuned down with the 1.1.1 at almost the exact same time it became available. The following changes, combined with the auto rifle base changes, have made a positive impact in internal playtests. I personally shrieked with joy when I got my first ever double kill in skirmish from the Cursebringer explosion. Changes: increases base stability to 60, it was 40. Increased magazine size, and Cursebringer perk will always trigger a precision kill. Cursebringer explosion has increased radius and deals more damage. Now on to the last word. The last word is our fastest time to kill, primary in the game. The intent of this weapon was always to deal lethal damage up close and its style while shooting from the hip. Right now, the stability and range of this weapon has players reliably getting range kills while aiming down sights. So we want to try and push this weapon into more of its intended role. Changes: reduces the range stat to 10, it was 20. Reduces the stability to 20, was 30. Reduce effective range while in aiming down sights. Increase accuracy and precision damage aim assist scale when firing from the hip. I'm sorry, I read that a little bit slow. Fix bugs with hip fire damage bonus applying incorrectly. Now, we are finally on the Thorn. Thorn has an interesting journey. It started as a weapon that was perceived as an unworthy reward for one of the most continuous exotic bounties in the game, and has slowly dug its way into the player's flesh as one of the most popular exotics among the Destiny population. So there's a few screenshots right here of how many people equipped the Thorn in PvP, so I'm going to be putting that on the screen right now. We want to preserve the functionality that makes Thorn such a compelling weapon, but its effective range and lethality are one of the most hotly contended items in the PvP player base. The base changes to hand cannons and weapon stats addressing the Thorn's range. Changes: reduce base damage of Thorn's Mark of the Devourer DOT damage over time to roughly 1/3 of what it was in PvP and PvE. Allow DOT, the damage over time, to stack up to 5 times across multiple landed projectiles. This is a net buff for Thorn's damage over time, but reduces the lethality of the weapons in PvP. Now onto the Hawkmoon, the elusive nocturnal bird. The Hawkmoon has evaded many players for quite some time. It is one of the hardest weapons in Destiny to acquire, which probably makes it sting that much more when you're killed by it. When you're dealt a great lucky mag and the bonus rounds of all stacked on one bullet, then that bullet will one-hit kill a full health guardian with a precision shot. Even though this is rare, just knowing it is possible tends to amplify the frustration for Hawkmoon's victims, so we're taking steps to help ease their passing. Changes: add a stack limit to Luck in the Chamber and Holding Aces so that only 2 of the bonus perks will ever stack on one round. This should prevent Hawkmoon from one-hitting full health players in PvP. Adds 2 rounds to Hawkmoon's magazine when Holding Aces is unlocked. Luck in the Chamber damage bonus reduced by 3%. Now onto the Icebreaker. We've all done it. Hunker down in the back of the map with your lunchbox, picnic table, and a sci-fi paperback, and the Icebreaker. Kill all enemies, wait for more to show up, kill those ones too, put a few shots onto the boss, make a sandwich. Finish the strike and then collect your rewards that isn't Hawkmoon and move on. That's pretty funny. The recharging ability of Icebreaker has become a staple for the PvE game. We don't want to completely destroy that because a really great thing happens when all of a sudden you need an Icebreaker and you're still waiting on that next round to show up. In that moment, there's an interesting tension at play. You need to think about how you spend your next few seconds while it recharges. We are going to amplify that tension by increasing the recharge duration by a few seconds. Changes: increase recharge time for your Icebreaker rounds to 1 every 8 seconds. It was 1 round every 5 seconds. Now onto the No Land Beyond. Sworn off by most as a waste of strange coins, used as a joke weapon by people who want to stack the odds against their favor, and every now and then it is the tool of destruction that wipes up a Crucible match by a slick, run-and-gun sniper elitist faster than you can say, "Welcome to my YouTube montage." We built No Land Beyond for the quick sniping, PvP-minded player. However, as many have pointed out since it was released, the weapon does not hold up in PvE. Changes: increase weapon handling speed for faster time to aim, ready, and stow. Adjust sights to fix overlap/parallax issue while aiming. Increase time decay of the Master to 8 seconds. Add an additional 20% precision damage bonus while the Master is active. Now onto the Black Hammer. While technically not an exotic, this weapon was chased as if it were. Currently, it is the only sniper that is more capable of ending a PvE boss faster than the Icebreaker. That is pretty crazy. Changes: increase ammo inventory to 18 rounds. White Nail perk now pulls ammo from your inventory. Now onto the Lord of Wolves. This weapon is a bruiser and doesn't need help. The only element that is lackluster is the recovery boost granted to allies from the Lord of Wolves perk. We had hoped this would inspire fire teams to stay close and attack and defend as a unit, rallying around their pack leader. However, the recovery boost doesn't do much to incentivize this, so we tripled it. Changes: tripled recovery boost bonus for allies granted by the Lord of Wolves. Now onto the Gjallarhorn. If Destiny had a nuke, it would become the Balorhorn. We definitely intended to have a high damage heavy weapon that was ideal for PvE destruction. What we did not intend we unfortunately saw was pickup, raid, and nightfall groups gating participation based on whether or not players had this weapon. Gjallarhorn was so strong that for many players it had become the only answer to getting through tough encounters, and therefore they were less willing to spend time with other players that did not have it. So there's a screenshot here of the Gjallarhorn on equipped heavy weapon popularity in PvE. It just destroys every other heavy weapon in the game. So that will be on the screen right now for you guys to see. We strive for Destiny to be a place where a single weapon or strategy does not dictate how or with whom you spend your time. In the new world, Gjallarhorn is still worthy of its legacy as an exotic heavy weapon, but we hope it promotes inclusive behavior rather than exclusivity. Changes: reduced damage of Wolfpack rounds, so it's not even that bad. Now we're going to be going over the weapon stats. For Update 2.0, we also took a pass on weapon stats. This has a subtle but broad impact on gun damage. As we acquired and leveled up our legendary weapons during the first year of Destiny, we realized that it is not very difficult to find weapons with strong starting stats that you can then push into pretty high ranges simply by using the default upgrades we make available on the Talon grid. While it definitely feels great to grow a weapon into a deadly killing machine, the downside over time are 1. PvP lethality across all weapons gets exaggerated due to high performance guns that don't have any flaws or quirks. 2. As you collect and grow weapons over time, they all start to feel like the same gun. We took a few different approaches to stats that we hope address both of these issues and also introduce a bit more variety into how your arsenal of upgraded weapons feel. Now, onto the reduced weapon-based stats. We reduced the base stat value of a few targeted stats across various weapon types. Specifically, we focus on the stats for a given weapon type that typically enhances performance the most and made those starting values slightly lower. This means brand new auto rifles will have slightly less starting stability, brand new shotguns, slightly less starting range, etc. You still have lots of options to grow those stats as you spend time with a weapon. Also, these changes are only going to be made to weapons newly available in the Taken King, so your base stats for everything from launch through House of Wolves will remain consistent. Now onto the stat perk tuning pass. The initial set of the stat perks that have been on weapons since launch, Send It, Hammerforged, Field Scout, and Perfect Balance, etc., all granted a pretty huge increase to their targeted stat. Not only did they spike their stat, but they never asked the player to make a meaningful trade-off for it on the weapon. We have gone back to all of these stat perks and reduced the amount of buff your weapon stat and changes was made radioactively against all 1-year player weapon talent grids. To compensate for the weaker stat perks from launch weapons, we added some new stat perks, which were already showing up in your House of Wolves weapons. That do provide a significant increase to a stat in exchange for a reduction in other stats. This allows players to be able to spike a stat that reinforces their playstyle, but at a cost. Basically, if you want to spike a stat, we're asking you to specialize the weapon for what that stat offers. Now on to the stat perk column on talent grids. Lastly, we wanted to ensure that if we are introducing stat perks that ask you to reduce a stat, we never force you to in doing that by placing that perk on an unavoidable node. Talent grids will almost always unlock in the order of small benefit, medium benefit, or another small benefit choice, large benefit with a trade-off. The only node in that column you have to unlock is the first one. From then on, it's up to the player which node they want to actively activate at any time. This covers most of the weapon changes that address what you currently know about the game. We still have some surprises and twists we don't want to spoil that you'll get to experience when the Taken King is released. We playtested these things every day, multiple times a day, in all activities using the kinds of weapons we feel pretty good about them. However, the total amount of time as a studio can spend on a given build of Destiny is a shred of the fraction compared to the first hour of its update as it hits all of you. As always, we are excited to see what comes of this update in your hands. We are reading forums, watching streams, listening to podcasts at all times, devouring our impressions in an effort to make this game better. We're even reading the comments. Heck, some of us might even be the random guardian in your pickup fire team. Looking forward to having this chat again in the future. Until then, see you Starside. So there you have it, the entire forum I just read for you guys. I apologize if I messed up on a few words here and there, even a few sentences. I'm sick right now. I forgot to mention that in the beginning of the video, but I think you guys kind of caught on. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I expect it's going to be pretty long, so I apologize once again for messing up on a bunch of those words. But I just wanted to give you my 2 cents on a few things that I like about this update and I dislike. So one thing that I dislike on this update, which is actually the only thing, is the fusion rifles. I hope that they would have gotten a little bit better. It seems like they're kind of staying the same as they are moving back the snipers a little bit and the shotguns a lot back, just so they're all level. But you know, whatever. I just hope the fusion rifles would be a little bit better. Now, some things that I really enjoyed about this forum that will come in the update are the Thorn nerf and the Gjallarhorn nerf. That is really awesome. Oh, and as well as the Last Word and the Hawkmoon. All those things are getting nerfed, and it's really awesome. I really enjoy that. You guys might be commenting, why do you enjoy this? Why do you enjoy this? Well, a lot of people in the PvP, in Trials of Osiris, their go-to weapon is the Thorn. And too many players use it. We just need some diversity in Destiny right now, and we're not having that. Everybody's using the Thorn. Now with the Gjallarhorn, as they explained in the forum, it is a pickup mechanism. Like if you don't have the Gjallarhorn, we're not gonna invite you to our raid or our Nightfall, our weekly Nightfall group. So I'm glad that's getting a little bit of a reduction. It's probably still gonna be usable. People are still probably gonna be doing that, but you know, at least they're putting some effort into reducing it. Now, some changes that are good is the Hardlight. Hardlight is my favorite weapon, and I'm glad to see that it's going to be increased a little bit. And also, the auto rifles in general is going to be increased. That is really awesome. I'm pretty excited about that. And the last thing that I am excited about is the Necrochasm. I don't actually have it yet, but I've heard it is a really horrible weapon. It's not horrible, but it's not a good weapon at all for all the time and effort you got to go into getting it. And I'm actually planning on trying to get the Husk of the Pit soon, so I'm really glad that they're actually going to be increasing that on the next update. So that's about it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. One last time, I apologize if I misread a few sentences or even words the wrong way. I apologize for that. I am sick right now, and it just came at an awkward time when I wanted to make this video. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time for more Destiny content. Peace.